Today's readings don't really matter in the whole scheme of things. I am simply doing it because I'm weird. Anyways, I don't know if it's working. And you just do the same thing for all of them. And then you document it on this little thing that I made up. I am just getting ready to head to the kitchen. But before I do, it's actually a very late start for me because it's my day off. I didn't really need to go to the kitchen early in the day, and I'm expecting a package to come at the kitchen. So I want to make sure I'm getting there late enough to actually receive the package. So also need to just kind of run a few errands. But before I do, we had an issue earlier today at the chicken coop. So I need to come down here and check on it, see if there's any more issues happening. It doesn't look like it. A couple of the puppies have taken a liking to chickens with the inside of their mouth. Looks like they're doing fine. They're just kind of bedding down over here. They are definitely enjoying a good old little dirt whatever. Just doing my due diligence before I head out. Certainly at least a couple of the puppies shall not be around for much longer on our homestead. We have a very crappy gate. It's literally just made of this plastic mesh. It's like a deer netting. Robert and I have discussed that we need to enforce that better so the puppies can't get in there. And anyways, the gate got open, so several of the chickens got out, so we couldn't re-close it. Hopefully the puppies are sufficiently scared off from the chicken coop. Robert's been kind of working on training them to stay the heck away from them. They must have some kind of bird dog in them or something. Maybe not. Who knows? Heading to the kitchen. Gonna do some checking. Maybe if the lighting is turned on in the new room, I can kind of show you the progress on the fermentation room, or show you it at all. I will see you guys at the kitchen. It took me a while, but I'm finally here. And it does look like there has been some leakage. Not a lot, but definitely enough that I'm glad I came and I can get it cleaned up. So the beet kraut, the pink kraut, jalapeno kraut's a little bit, curtido in the back, ever so slightly. If that was leaking a lot, it hasn't even reached the top there. And then the taco kraut. Time to clean it. I also got mail. I've had this idea for a while to help empty out the moat. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was. It's really big. 150 milliliters. Americans can't handle the metric system. I don't need this much. Like half the size would have been fine, but oh well, we got it. So let's do this. Kimchis are fine. That'll take a couple days. Or honestly, it'll probably be tomorrow. How can I get you a good shot? I honestly don't know if I can. Okay, wash your hands. First thing we gotta do, make sure our pH meter is calibrated. I do it obsessively. I don't need to do it nearly as much as I do, but I do it pretty much every day that I use it, for the most part. Today's readings don't really matter in the whole scheme of things. I am simply doing it because I'm weird. I got this little kit. It comes with, like, you know, the refill, like a big thing of it. And so there's like a little, like a liquid inside of here. And sometimes the green liquid will like revert back inside. I'm not sure too sure why, but you kind of got to wait for it to come back down. This here, I'll link it for you guys down below. I have 2 pH meters and I find this one to be the best one. It's a Yinmic. I don't have a clue how to pronounce that, but we'll pretend it's Yinmic. I find this one to be the most accurate, the most consistent, and anytime that I do go back to try and calibrate it later on, it almost always is the same pH as the solution. When you're doing like a pH reading, you do it for 7, 4, and 10.01. I don't know why it's 10.01, but it is. They all are. Basically all you do is you put it in the solution, turn it on, and you wait. See, this is the 7 pH, and it's reading 701. So, oh, it just changed to 7.02. Give it a little stir. Oh, back down. I think it's because the liquid hasn't settled at the bottom yet. I gotta wait for that thing to settle. Hold, please. I doubt you'll be able to tell the difference on camera, but there it is. And in case you're wondering why people do this, they put their hand up when they're showing you something small, it's because it just focuses on your face, in case you're wondering. In order to prevent it from focusing on your face and focus on what you actually want it to focus on, you gotta put your hand up. Boom. And you gotta hide your face. Anyways, I don't know if it's working. So you just put it in the solution, turn it on, and you wait until it settles and it stops moving. And you just do the same thing for all of them. And then it's calibrated. And then you document it on this little thing that I made up. So far, I've had this meter for over a year and a half, and I've had to change out the probe once. And I'm not too sure if I needed to change out the probe at the time. Since I've learned more information about it, I think I probably changed it out when I didn't need to. I think it was just the green liquid in the bottom was gone, and I thought it was just dead. It wasn't. It was inside of it, and I threw it away before I realized what was going on. So. This I don't have to do forever. I just have to do it for probably like the first, I have to make sure that everything's good for probably the first 5 or 6 days. I have no idea what you can see. There we go. And then everything's totally fine. Let the marathon begin. Oh, I need to make up some brine before I get started. Since I got that handy little sucker thing, which also I got the right size, I was able to actually suck out the brine from the moat before I moved it, which makes it a lot less messy. You can see it is at, well, it was right at the top, but when I moved it, some of it spilled over into the empty moat. So clean hands, clean gloves. I literally just kind of push it with all my might. And once it gets down far enough, I can put my fists in there and really squish it. Check the pH. When I'm doing this to test the pH, I have found that the pH at the bottom of the crock is higher, meaning less acidic, than at the top. So I now do all of my pH readings after I've pushed everything in, just to make sure that things kind of get circulated for the air bubbles that keep coming to the top. I figure it gives it the best chance of the most accurate reading. 3.77. So I have, I realized, as I realized that I could not continue to film what I was doing because I forgot an extra battery, I forgot to bring a charger, and if I wanted to be able to film this part, I had to conserve my really crappy 6-year-old battery. So I'm fascinated, okay? So I took all of these apart, I tested every single one, I even tested the ones that didn't need to be tended because I'm just a geek and I freaking love this kind of stuff. With the exception of the fire cheese that we made yesterday, it hasn't even been a full 24 hours. Everything else is under 4.6. Most of them are well under 4.6. So we got a 4.0, 4.12, 4.0, 4.0, 3.85, 3.77, 3.85, 3.85, 3.97, 3.89, 4.4, 4.5. Like everything is under, many well under, okay? So I don't have to keep track of all this stuff. Okay, all I have to do is test this on day 5. If it's good, continue. If it's bad, toss it. That is the only thing that's required of me in the beginning stages, and obviously I need to test it once I'm bottling it just to make sure that everything has remained to be well under 4.6. I'm just testing this stuff because I freaking am obsessed with it. So one of these days I'm actually gonna like plug all this information into a graph because like I'm truly fascinated by it. Several of these, like the beet kraut yesterday morning, I did not think that it was going to get under the 4.6 that it needed because it was 5.06. And then there was another one in here, the pink kraut. Pink kraut, yesterday morning was 5.17 and this morning 3.97. Like, you just have no idea. Unless you're testing this kind of stuff. And also the some cheese, they were just barely under 4.6. We got a 4.48, 5.9, and 5.6. And then the fire cheese are both 4.69. Okay, so the reason that 4.6 matters is that that is the golden number in food manufacturing, to make sure that the spread of almost all bacteria, certainly not the spread of, but the multiplication of toxins from bacteria cannot be produced under 4.6. So the main one being obviously Clostridium botulinum cannot create botulism. It's not a concern with fermentation. These things drop under, I mean, the oldest one here is 2 days old, and it is already, those ones are already well under. So I'm just fascinated by it. Okay. Really the number that you have to get under is 3.7 because that is the lowest temperature that salmonella can survive under. There's like a certain range that is optimal, and we're under the optimal, but it can go as low as 3.7. So like I said, I'm just kind of obsessed with all this stuff. So I did, however, have a really good idea that I'm going to bring you guys along for. I have all these extra beets. Want to know what I'm going to do with them? I was editing this video today and realized that it is entirely too long. So we're going to split it and make it into 2 parts. But I wanted to add something on the end there, something that I'm very curious about today. And that is something that I've talked about a lot. That is freeze drying fermented foods in our cube freeze dryer. I happen to have several jars of this leftover kimchi sauce, and I want to see how it will end up. What will happen to it? Is it still an active ferment? So I know that freeze drying is the best way that you can preserve food and its nutrients. However, there is a caveat when it comes to fermented foods, and that caveat is the bacteria themselves. They are basically just, it's like a tube, it's like a furry tube filled with water. Oh, cat's scratching my leg. Bacteria is basically, it's a little tube. It almost looks like a teeny tiny little pill covered in fur so that it can latch on to wherever it's at, and it is filled with water. Their bodies work through osmosis. I think that's the term, where if the surrounding area is, if what it is in is dry, it will become dry and it will die. It'll be dehydrated. Also, you can kill it with freezing, like similar to how if you freeze foods, the cells will burst. Same thing with bacteria. If you freeze it, it will burst. However, it does not harm, to my knowledge, it does not harm the leftovers, the spores that it produces. So I'm kind of curious if the spores will be strong enough to be able to re-ferment later. So we're going to go inside real quick. We're going to toss this in the freeze dryer, and then in the next video, we will see how it is. See what it is at the end of however long it takes. This is a brine, so it's going to take a really long time because it's basically just liquid. This happens to be one of the very rare times that my husband does not have the freeze dryer running, and so I'm going to monopolize on it right now, and we're going to get these into the freeze dryer. Fingers crossed, y'all. I learned my lesson last time I tried to freeze dry liquids. Don't bother with the lining. It just makes it more frustrating. The door just wants to close on me, so I'm going to try and spread this out fairly evenly on the tray. Oh, this one had a little more stuff to it. I can fit way more on each tray, but this is a liquid and I don't want it to take 14 days. It turned off in the back. Is it the line or the dot that's on? Oh, there we go. The line means on.
Okay. Let me pause it real quick.
I wish I would have got that. Oh. That was helpful. Okay, hit start. Unfrozen.
Yep.
Is the drain closed?
Yes.
Insert food? Yes.
Yes.
Start.
Yes. There you go.
Thank you. We'll see you guys back here when this stuff is done. Peace out, sauerkraut.